they established a special committee of six major political figures who are known throughout the country to be centrist, and people like Dr. Velayati, Dr. Haddad, they're well known and well respected. But still, it seems that Mr. Mousavi has not accepted this. And they also said that the candidates can have their own representatives as well. So they established this special committee to go through with the election results and the ballot boxes with the representatives of the candidates to get to some sort of final conclusion.
Let me just stop you there. And Mr. Naderi, though, despite that special panel, there is still doubt here. Why don't they just rerun the elections?
Well, it goes against the Iranian constitution. I would like to make a very brief comment about what Mr. Obama said about Mousavi. He said that Mr. Mousavi has captured the imagination of Iranian voters. I think it's the other way around. I think the energetic Iranian population has captured the imagination of Mr. Mousavi. He's got carried away. He thinks that he's in control of the crowd. He's not in control of anything. He's been duped into this trap, and he just doesn't know how to get out. That's one thing. The second point is that he doesn't know what is the main agenda and mandate for the reform camp. The reform camp was created in the first place to fix the flaws of the Iranian revolution Islamic system. Now what he's doing, he doesn't want to accept the authority of Guardian Council. He did not listen to the supreme leader when he called for calm, and he said that stop taking your supporters to the streets. And now he says that he doesn't accept anything unless there is a rerun of elections. Obviously he knows that if there is a complete recount now, he's still going to lose. Remember, he said that he wants the ballot boxes to be recounted, which the Guardian Council said, yes, we will do it. Then he said that I want to know which box belongs to which area or which city or which rural area.
Yeah.
The Guardian Council said that we will do that. Now he is asking very unreasonable, another unreasonable favor. He says that I want to know the names of 40 million people who voted.
Can I just stop you there? Because of the live coverage we had before, it's a shorter than normal programme. I'd like to cross over to Mr. Katzman and kind of get a comparative look at this. If the situation had taken place in another country, where you are, or in Europe, would this demand be met, that the side that has lost, according to official results, would come out and say, no, it needs to be rerun? And wouldn't this kind of end us in a vicious cycle of each time the lower percentage vote keeps coming out and doing the same thing?
Well, you know, each country is different. You know, we've had some votes, some elections like this have led to changes of regime. I mean, the biggest example, I guess, is Ferdinand Marcos, and I guess it was 1986, when it was the view that it was complete fraudulent election, and there was an uprising, and he was ousted. Now, that could have happened in Iran, too. You know, if enough Iranians thought that this was an outright fraudulent election, and they had all joined the protests in not only Tehran but other cities, theoretically the regime could have been pressured to lose office. But evidently not enough other Iranians were convinced that this election was completely fraudulent, so they didn't join the protesters. Now, the protesters had a lot of people on some of the days in Tehran, but, you know, it didn't grow. You know, they sort of had the same 100,000 every day, you know. And in this case, that didn't lead to any change of regime.
Mr. Marandi?
Yes, I agree. I think that the problem with the Mousavi campaign was that in the provinces we didn't really have major problems, and I think that is because in the provinces Ahmadinejad did do well and people recognize that. Tehran is a very divided city, and when you include Ray, Islam Shahr, and Shemiranat especially. And therefore we've had this unrest, and both sides bringing their people to the streets, which I think both sides were unwise in doing so. But I think the major problem is, as I think you pointed out, in that if there is a new election, whoever loses could complain and say there were irregularities again. And I think in this particular case, the fact that almost 40 million people voted, if there were major irregularities, the evidence would be there. So any special committee, if they had representatives from the Mousavi-Karoubi campaign team, they would easily be able to find it out, because you cannot hide such massive irregularities. And the fact that Mr. Mursi hasn't given specifics, I think, shows that he really doesn't have that sort of evidence. But just one final point is that I don't think that what Mr. Obama says, really, we should take much note of that and what he says about Mr. Mousavi, because I'm quite sure that Mr. Mousavi is not a backer of Mr. Obama, though I disagree with some of what Mr. Mousavi is. We're
going to have to stop it there. We are out of time. A brief debate because of that live coverage, but do join in again tomorrow, 18:30 GMT, for more in-depth coverage. And maybe we'll be discussing this issue further, but do join us on Post-Election Iran, Press TV's special coverage on Iran's elections.